Tide Hunter.
Hi guys, welcome back. Carl here, casting round 3 of the Dreamhack qualifier number 4 for Vengeance Cup, I think is what it was called. I'm much better when I actually read the name off rather than try to ad-lib, but I'm not very good at that. Regardless, we are casting a very exciting game here. It is Virtus.Pro, which is basically the new Russian, well, kind of Russian team, although actually, I don't know exactly. There's NS. I thought Dread is on there. I'll have to check through the names in a second. And up against them will be Epidemic. And with me is none other than the same man who's been with me so far today, Aussie. Yes, I know Kuroki is German. That's why I was saying mostly Russian team, and then I started, yeah, anyway.
Good day, guys. So yeah, we did a quick ban pick phase because I already did that. That is remade for us to get into the game. And yeah, straight into the game. You want to take over?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I was trying to look through the names again and figure out, because I thought Dread was supposed to be here, but I guess he's not. Anyway, looks like Epidemic might have a chance of catching the Tide and Windrunner up top here, but looks like it's not going to happen. They split well enough, and they're going to back off, so no one is going to get caught. As far as lanes go, we are going to have the Darkseer solo bottom, and probably a dual lane mid with the CM anti-mage, and meanwhile top, the Tide is basically just going to be stacking, pulling, and trying to grab experience, while Windrunner does basically everything else. Meanwhile, though, for the Radiant, looks like, is it Sand King going to be solo bottom? I've considered many times in personal games whether the Sand King works against the Darkseer or not in a solo lane. What are your thoughts on that?
I really don't have any thoughts, to be honest. This is one of the Sand King early phase of the game has changed a lot in the last few months, in my opinion. It's suddenly become viable to have him in mid, and I've tried it myself as well, and it works very, very well. But having him in side lane, sure, it's I don't know. I'm not qualified to say.
Okay, well, because normally against a melee, he's actually quite strong. Like, yeah, putting him mid against something like a Beastmaster is very good because he can get Caustic early on and make it very difficult. But against Darkseer does a ton of AoE damage to any melees coming, or any hero standing near the creeps. So I feel like the Iron Shell is going to be a little bit stronger than the Caustic Harassment, but I guess we'll have to see how that ends up playing out. Meanwhile, the Radiant did end up rotating their Veno to the mid as well to help with the Storm Spirit to go against the dual lane of the CM anti-mage, which actually should be favorable, I think, for the Radiant here. Meanwhile, Earthshaker and Tide just kind of messing around with each other in the jungle up here. Tide actually did end up counter-warding the ward spot pull, or the pull spot ward, not the ward spot pull. And so the Earthshaker did have to come block the stacking at 1 minute, so the Tide couldn't stack and pull, which he will be trying to do again shortly, or maybe he'll actually just consign himself to pulling without a stack.
Wait, so Holy, I have to turn the stream so you can see the game now, because you still have the "We'll be right back" on the show.
That's no good. Anyway, looks like the Darkseer and the Sand King are going to go at it down here. Someone, I think, is going to die. We'll have to see. No, actually, they both end up backing off. Both pretty low here, though, so there's a possibility for basically anything to happen. And meanwhile, though, actually, the Windrunner is going to go down top to Tullix, getting the kill with the Edict from the Leshrac. Comboed with the stun from the Earthshaker, we're able to pick up the first blood top. Sorry for missing that a little bit. I was a bit distracted by what was going on with the stream, but Windrunner is going to get back there very quickly and be back in shooting form. And meanwhile, the Darkseer is doing basically exactly what he's supposed to do, which is actually just creep skipping, which forces the Sand King to deal with all the creeps at his tower. So they're not actually even going to go head-to-head. The Sand King is just going to have to farm the creeps under his tower, which is first of all going to mean that either him or the tower is going to be tanking damage, and it's going to be a little bit harder for him to last hit.
I'm just taking a look at the Darkseer, Sand King bottom lane, and I love the fact that Darkseer is so aggressive. He's gone way past the towers in between the two towers now, using Iron Shell to go to the creeps, and by doing that, he's just forcing Sand King to stay underneath the tower to protect it. And when you do that, especially as a melee hero, you do get hurt quite a lot. You get harassed down by the just by normal creeps.
Yeah, meanwhile, speaking of harassment, a lot of harassment going back and forth both ways in this mid here. Kuroki does have a salve, so he will be able to heal up very quickly once the poison wears off, and will be going back to last hitting. But as I think I would have expected, let's take a look here. 12-0 on Kranich. So Kranich farming extremely well here versus Kuroki, who's 9-3. Not too bad himself. But meanwhile, the Veno has actually taken a couple of knives. Actually going to come in. Tide has rotated mid, so Kranich is going to go down. Not level 6 yet, so very easy kill to take. And so that's going to tie the game up 1-1 and put the gold graph, I would assume, probably back in the Dire's favor.
Meanwhile, bottom lane, Darkseer has picked up his Soul Ring now as well, on top of the Stout Shield, so he is able to cast that Iron Shell nearly constantly now, and that's going to be a pain for the Sand King to take on. Like, he can't get close enough to the creeps without taking a lot of damage from the Iron Shell.
Yeah, I mean, if we see, though, the Sand King actually is at 16-1 versus the Darkseer's 19-0. So actually this lane has been a lot more even than I expected. The difference is, though, that the tower has actually taken about a fourth of its health in damage. Not quite a fourth. Actually, yeah, almost a fourth. Wow, that's really close. 3 health from being a fourth, actually. So the Darkseer is winning the lane by a little bit, but not as much as I would have thought. So actually that's pretty effective. Meanwhile, Kuroki actually blinked in to get a last hit. Is actually going to be a little bit of trouble there, but is just going to back out, and the Crystal Maiden rotating back into the mid after having picked up a regen rune top.
I like the fact that this Sand King and Darkseer are just playing on completely different ends of the map. I mean, normally you try and explain this game to someone who's just started, and you would think that Darkseer is on the Radiant side. But,
that's true. Earthshaker has smoked up, and he is looking for a gank mid. This Crystal Maiden is definitely going to go die. Oh, wow. Not a very good block at all from the Earthshaker, but actually Kranich does manage to pull the CM back in. Meanwhile, though, Tide is here, and I think this actually could be looking pretty bad for the Radiant here. Anti-Mage going to blink in, burning all the Storm Spirit's mana. Storm Spirit going to go down. Oh, actually not going to go down. Wow, just barely surviving. He's going to salve and bottle back up. The Venomancer, meanwhile, is actually in trouble now. Windrunner actually here now, too. Power Shot going to kill the... Actually, wasn't enough. The thing they killed the Venomancer. The Tide still killed the Venomancer. And the Anti-Mage actually finishes up the Storm Spirit. So, nice rotation there, actually, from the Windrunner coming in and sealing that fight for VP. Just kind of poor play there, to be perfectly honest, by the Earthshaker. I mean, Fissure, not the easiest thing in the world to hit, but if that had been a better Fissure, they would have just gotten one quick kill on the CM and been out of there instead of trading 2 deaths.
I like the Storm Electric Vortex. That was huge through the Fissure. That was way beyond what I thought the normal range was. He did get away with a little bit of HP, but then he just opted to go back into the fight and ended up dying instead. Bit of a shame. He could have stayed a little bit clearer. I mean, having 4 heroes against him was not the smartest idea, especially when he's not level 6. He doesn't have that escapability that he needs. He needs to be able to get into a fight and get out really quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing in Dota 2 with the ranges of abilities. Kind of, you see it a lot with the Fury and Sprout, where the range is much shorter than what it can actually be cast by. Because if you target a hero and then they like move away while they're in range, it still counts as kind of them being in range, and you end up casting it from much further than it should be casted.
That works the same way in Dota 1 as well.
Alright, does it? Yeah, I didn't... I mean, it's been a while since I played Dota 1, so I didn't
That's
remember.
why a lot of the time, for example, melee heroes sometimes attack with about 300 range.
Yep.
Because if you do start to swing while they are in melee range, which is about 100 actually, I think it's 80 or 100. And
Sorry, it looked like there was going to be action on the Venomancer. Actually, the Darkseer is going to surge through the trees here. He's going to be playing really aggressive, and Kranich is going to die again, still not having that ult on Storm Spirit, just killing him. They're doing a really good job of applying pressure to the Storm Spirit before he can get level 6 and actually be that effective hero everyone knows he can be. And this is also freeing up Anti-Mage's farm a bit, although he does take a lot of damage there, but he has his Ring of Health, so he'll regen up. And meanwhile, though, there is going to be Fissure. Again, the Fissure not so great, but it's the Windrunner is definitely going to die. The Edict damage being split with the tower, but it's still enough that Tulix is able to get the kill on Windrunner. So trading the 2 deaths in the mid for 1 in the top, not the best trade ever for the Radiant, but still not... Oh, sorry. Ozzy will be right back, I guess, and I guess I will keep talking. That's too bad. I wanted to have him finish what he was saying, but I'm sure he will get back to it when he gets back. Meanwhile, though, the Sand King has actually opted for just 2 levels in Caustic Finale, as well as 4 levels in the Burrow Strike. Not even 1 in the Sandstorm, which is a little bit risky of a build, but I guess he really needed those 2 points in the Caustic Finale just to stay in this lane against the Darkseer. Darkseer has opted to only go 1 point in Surge. This is kind of a personal preference between players. Some players on the Darkseer prefer to get the 2 points in Surge, some prefer just 1 and maxing Vacuum as early as possible. Looks like Darkseer is thinking about going in on the Sand King here. Knows there's no real way he can kill the Sand King. He's actually just trying to prevent the pull, and ends up Ion Shelling up the creeps. And is just going to kill his last one when it comes to him. Does have a Stout Shield. Oh, and meanwhile, I actually missed a little bit of action. Ozzy is back, and yeah, looks like the Anti-Mage and CM were being a little bit too aggressive. Fissure going to come out here. Actually is going to... No, does not block the CM off, but the Edict damage from the Leshrac is easily going to be enough to finish the CM off. Leshrac is on a killing spree, and yeah, so another 2 nice kills from the Radiant there. The Dire just being a little bit too aggressive. And actually, the Sand King Burrow Strikes in on the Darkseer bottom, but then they're both just going to back off and head their separate ways. Welcome back, Ozzy.
Oh, sorry, I just had to fix a really small issue quickly. That level 4 Iron Shell just proving how much damage it does. I mean, you can see the Sand King wanted to initiate. As soon as he went in, just instantly losing 100 HP, and not gonna go for it. knows is a big mistake. Especially with the Darkseer being able to still hurt him even though he sandstorms, and he tries to escape, he's always got the Surge to catch up as well. He doesn't want to fight him on a head-on match. At least not until he has ulti and Surge is down as well at the same time.
Yeah, even with ulti and Surge being down, I still assume that the Darkseer will be able to respond in time using the vacuum to cancel the ulti after the stun. I think there's just enough time that he should be able to do that, although we'll have to see. Meanwhile, though, there is going to be a gank on this Tide top. Tide still does not have his ult. It's, once again, not an amazing stun from the Earthshaker, but it's not going to matter. The Edict damage is just too much from the Leshrac. Leshrac going that max Edict split Earth build has become much more popular lately. Meanwhile, though, it looks like a little bit of pressure being applied to the Storm Spirit mid. Very high-paced game in contrast to the last one we casted, so I'm very happy about that. But again, that was just kind of free up the anti-mage a little bit more, and we'll have to see whether Kuroki here decides to go for a Battle Fury build or decides to finish off his Radiance. Not his Radiance, his Vanguard. I don't. Just my head's somewhere else occasionally. And actually, I just missed it though. But the Leshrac was able to take down the tower top. The Venomancer actually managed to get the last hit on that. But Leshrac actually has gone Phase Boots first, which is not. Oh, and actually, Sand King gonna Burrow Strike in, get the epicenter. The Storm Spirit does ult in time, and with the Electric Vortex, is able to hold him in place to finish him off with the ult. Meanwhile, the Tide has turned in here, but he does not have his ultimate still. 50 experience away from it, and I mean, it's not that it matters. He wouldn't really use it in that situation anyway. He's trying to find the Sand King, but Sand King was too far back, and so the Tide's just going to back off and Clarity back up.
First larger item going out on a Darkseer hood. Well, not larger item, but first expensive item to come out. A lot of gold and a lot of the players, but not that many items coming out yet. This anti-mage does have another 60 gold left until he's able to buy that vitality boost, and we'll see if he's going to finish off his Vanguard or if he's going to go away Battle Fury first.
Yeah, his farm really has not been that amazing here. He's sitting at only 250 gold per minute, which is not that great. So you would kind of question maybe him going the Battle Fury at this point, because he's still a long ways off from the Battle Fury. And I think it's probably more likely that he is going to go the Vanguard, especially since if he was going the Battle Fury, yeah, and there is the Vitality Booster flying to him right now. So say if he was going the Battle Fury, he probably would have finished off his Perseverance by now and gotten maybe a Poor Man's Shield. But yeah, so he does have the Vanguard up now, which means he's going to be able to contribute a lot more early on. But the problem is that Anti-Mage has two real strengths, and actually it looks like there might be some action, so I'm going to have to hold off on talking about that. No, yeah, he has two real strengths. One is that he actually, as a carry, can contribute a lot very early because that mana burn is so strong with his attack speed. And getting Vanguard kind of helps with that role. On the other hand, he can basically farm faster than any other hero in the game with a Battle Fury. And actually, action going to come in on bottom, chain stun going to come out on this Darkseer, and Darkseer just dies, being a little bit too aggressive against the double stun combination, underestimating the amount of damage that can come out from Diabolic Edict from that Leshrac this early on. But yeah, anyway, last thought. Anti-Mage can farm extremely fast if he gets the Battle Fury, but by going to Vanguard, you are sacrificing that. So Anti-Mage isn't going to be as strong of a late-game hero. Tide actually does have his ult, is going to run in here, thinking about popping it, but it's not actually going to catch the heroes they really wanted. They probably would have just got the Earthshaker and the Venomancer, and his team was too far behind, so it really wasn't worth it. Yeah, and meanwhile, tower goes down bottom. Wow, a lot of action.
I've just been holding off on that Battle Fury thought. That it's on Anti-Mage, it's slightly like Midas. If you get it early, it enables you to get a lot more farm during the game's later progression. But if you don't get it, then you're limiting yourself to a lot of the farm, just like you said, but then you're able to do more things in the team fights that are coming before. But if you get the Battle Fury, sure, it's a larger investment, but it pays off in the long run a lot more. And considering, for example, like what Complexity did last game, where they got a full inventoried Anti-Mage at about, what, 34 minutes, I think. You had a Battle Fury, Manta, Heart, and Abyssal Blade. Yeah, with on top of the Aegis as well. That's just, I mean, yeah.
Action bottom, Windrunner is probably going to go down here. Yeah, it pops in time to the combo from the Sand King and Kranich. Sand King playing very aggressively here. Actually, yeah, wow, already has his Blink Dagger, so that lane worked out quite well for him. Meanwhile, action in the middle. Tide ult is going to come out. Actually, unfortunately, the Vacuum, well, actually, not unfortunately, the Vacuum was not necessarily coordinated. Meanwhile, Sand King, Epicenter, Burrow striking in, does get the Blink. Wow, Enchantress, or CM is just one click away from death. He could have actually Sandstormed and would have been able to get that kill, but he's going to chase her down and get her anyway. Although maybe the Anti-Mage is actually going to blink in. Courier actually flying to the Anti-Mage, bringing him an item. Meanwhile, the Sand King does finally pick off the CM, and in the back end of the play, the Venomancer does go down. Sand King is actually able to blink away. The Tide is thinking about going, but the TP coming in from the Earthshaker is enough to turn him back. Earthshaker does use his Echo Slam and is actually able to kill the Tidehunter with a wow, a Fissure. Meanwhile, the Kranich is going to fly in with his ult, pulls in the Windrunner, and Windrunner is going to go down as well. And Mana Boots are going to continue this push for the Radiant. 2 sets of Mana Boots up between Kranich and the Sand King. Actually, 3 sets of Mana Boots, so a lot of Mana Boots this game.
Yeah, it was a mana-intensive team as well. I mean, both the Storm and the Leshrac benefit from having unlimited mana. Or both of them essentially need unlimited mana as well.
Yeah, and that's I mean, a really early... Oh, and actually, nice vacuum coming in here. Darkseer gets his ult off, and the illusions are going to be dealing a lot of damage. TP coming in. Darkseer is probably going to go down, but actually is not. He's going to surge away, and Tidehunter actually does manage to pick up the Earthshaker. Darkseer going to go down to one last right-click from the Leshrac. Kranich is on the run, but has basically no mana, speaking of being mana-intensive, and so he is probably not getting out of here. Venomancer going to throw out the Gale, but I imagine the Gush is going to catch him. Yeah, the Gush does catch him. Meanwhile, the Sand King actually was able to just barely survive the negative Earn Charge coming out from the Tide, and does back off as well. But this entire time, the Anti-Mage is farming it. Whoa, wow. I didn't see Tullux going back in there. I wanted to check if that was the Anti-Mage bottom. Tullux just melts the Crystal Maiden instantaneously. But like I was saying, in the meantime, the Anti-Mage has been farming bottom, and does already have his treads.
A great team fight coming out, and I love the fact that Kranich is so aggressive with Storm Spirit, because that's the way you need to play Storm Spirit as well. You need to be in there in the fights, and having those 3 mana boosts, just like you said, that's why he needs it. Be able to get into a fight, do what he needs to do, and then you have the AM as well, that is just burning mana constantly. So having multiple heroes that can give you some more ammunition, and I will always call mana ammunition, because that is what it is. Your guns and your artillery, that's your spells, and they're useless if you don't have mana to use them. And that's the same way with real life. If you have artillery and guns, there's no point in having them if you don't have any bullets, and the mana is your bullets. But yeah.
It's an interesting way of looking at it. I hadn't necessarily thought of it like that before, but it does make sense. So going back here, let's see, Kranich does have so the Arcane Boots. I assume he was going to try to go into a Bloodstone with this, the typical disassemble Arcane Boots into Bloodstone, which is very strong on Storm, but he is a long ways off from actually finishing off the Bloodstone. Speaking of heroes that are closer to finishing their items, though, this Sand King is actually getting pretty close to having a Veil, and Veil is going to be really nice for his team. His team's basically all magic damage, and I mean, they really need to capitalize pretty soon. They've got about I would say probably another 15 to 20 minute window where they have to essentially, I mean, they've got to take down all the tier 2 towers in that time, certainly, and probably break into the base. If not get racks, at least get towers in the next 20 minutes, I would say, because after that, they're really going to have a lot of trouble dealing with his Anti-Mage and Darkseer combo, especially with the Tide, and they don't really, I mean, they only have really one hero who can, well, no, Sand King can be BKB too, but Sand King's going to be a long ways off. And actually, Kranich is going to jump in here, trying to catch the Anti-Mage, but with no Orchid or Sheep or anything like that, there's no way the Anti-Mage is going to get caught. And meanwhile, the Darkseer is going to surge the Tide, chasing after Tullux up here. Tullux's Fade's Boots are going to mean that he's able to back up easily in time. But yeah, as I was saying, without many BKB heroes, they're going to have a lot of trouble against Tide, yeah. Kranich is actually just running in, throws down his ult and Edict. Tide is going to pop the ult, though, himself, and Tullux is actually going to go down. Pipe popped, but the Tide dies to the poison from the... Actually, no, it's the Edict that kills him. Because I was going to say, how could he die through the pipe? Let's see if... No, Vacuum is actually not on cooldowns, or not off cooldown, so the Venomancer does manage to TP out. 1-for-1 trade there, not really... Well, I don't know. Actually, not too bad for the Radiant. I mean, losing Tullux is really bad, but forcing the Tide ult is not so terrible, so they can actually try to push a tower all grouped up pretty soon here, hopefully.
Yeah, what you were saying before about the next, the window of opportunity for them is about 15 minutes. After that, the Anti-Mage is going to be way too strong in fights. And he hasn't got great farm so far, but he is getting farm. He hasn't been completely shut down. And together with that and the Darkseer's Wall of Replica. Oh, that's what I want to call it. There's a little bit of a Hon diss, but yeah. Wall of New Earth. You know about that pun?
No, I don't.
Well, that's the Darkseer ultimate. You call it a Wall of New Earth. But yeah, once because everything that walks through it gets copied.
Okay, well, anyway, Anti-Mage actually might be in a little bit of trouble here. Nice combo from the Earthshaker and the Sand King. Earthshaker actually just running in. Meanwhile, Kranich is going to try to go after this Crystal Maiden. Crystal Maiden does pop, and the Tide is actually in a pretty bad spot here. Nice vacuum from the Darkseer. Darkseer throws up his wall, but the positioning isn't that relevant, actually, because they've already dived past the tower. Meanwhile, the Windrunner is going to pick off Tullux here, combined with the Darkseer. Kranich is coming back in, along with the right clicks from the Sand King. This Windrunner is definitely going to go down. Nice double stun there from the Sand King. Gale going to come out on this Darkseer. Darkseer tries to surge, but the multiple stuns are flying out. He's actually going to survive. I do not believe the poison will be enough damage thanks to the hood, and he is going to make it out of there alive. But actually a 4-for-1 trade, so really nice by the Radiant. That's exactly what they need to be doing. The only unfortunate side of it is because the one hero that died was Leshrac, it meant they couldn't turn that into a tower kill afterwards. And Anti-Mage is back, and he's actually looking for blood, and he's probably going to get it on at least this Earthshaker. He does have his ult, so I don't imagine there's any way the Earthshaker is getting out of here.
Yeah, the phase boot. The arcane boots on cooldown as well, and the AM does. Ooh, nice SK coming in to save the day.
Ult? Yep. No, not gonna save the day.
Nearly.
Yeah, nearly.
I'll take that back.
Meanwhile, actually, is that the Darkseer here? The Darkseer is here. The Sand King is just gonna have to blink out, and he does. He's gonna go hide behind this tower bottom here. And how close is he actually to his Veil? I think he basically has that done, doesn't he? Because the rest of no, 1,200. Yeah. So he still needs about 300 more gold, and then he will have his Veil up. But he's very close to that, and that'll be a really nice item for them. Veil, I don't know. I go back.
He does have the recipe in his stash now.
Yeah, he has the recipe, so he just needs 300 gold for the other Robe of the Magi. I was just saying I underestimated how expensive the recipe was because he had just bought it. He had like 12,000 or 1,200 gold before that.
Well, no, he's got the Robe of Magi and he's got the Helm of Iron Will as well. Those are the only 3 components he needs.
I thought it was 2 Robes of the Magi.
It used to be, but it's changed according to this. Like, I'm just looking at it in the shop now, and yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, so he has his fill. A little bit of interesting interactions going to come bottom here. Leshrac is probably going to be looking to deny this tower, and Anti-Mage is going to, wanted to blink in, but kind of underestimating just how much damage the Leshrac does. So he's going to blink in on the Leshrac instead, but this is going to be a mistake. Leshrac's team is a little bit too far behind, though, so the Anti-Mage's blink is already off cooldown. He's just going to get away in time. Although we're going to look for a long Fisher. No, the Earthshaker still doesn't have his blink. He's a ways off from that. So the Sand King's been farming extremely well. The Leshrac is still, or the Earthshaker obviously much further behind since he had to play a more supportish role top as opposed to the Sand King, who's actually solo farming a lane.
I was going to put it out there. What do you think of a hood on Anti-Mage this game? I mean, like you said before, the Radiant team is nearly entirely consisting of magic damage. So, I mean, he does already have some magic damage from his spell shield, 26%. But putting a hood on him as well would just essentially make him invulnerable in team fights.
I don't know.
What do you want as DPS instead?
Yeah, well, I think if I was going to get the defensive item against the spells, I would just be more worried about getting a BKB. I mean, obviously, the hood works all the time, and it's a lot better against the blink initiators when you don't really know if they're going to come in or not. So there is that. But at the same time, there are so many stuns and disables from the Radiant team that I'd be kind of more worried about that limiting my ability to actually damage heroes rather than specifically killing me. I mean, in that last fight, they actually did pick him off first, but he only has 1 level in Spell Shield. Once he has max Spell Shield, he's going to really have diminishing returns with something like Hood. Kranich, meanwhile, is going to be in a lot of trouble here. He's going to try to ult out, but he actually gets frozen by the CM. He's going to keep blinking away, but the Anti-Mage is right on top of him, and wow, just blasts him with the ult, and Storm Spirit goes down. Storm Spirit are way too much mana to survive an AM ult, even from with 1/3 of his pool still there.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about it in my head as well, that if he's got the Vanguard, I would have gone for the hood instead of the Vanguard, but not got both items. It doesn't really make sense. I'm just trying to analyze the game a little bit and think out what possibilities I have. Like, I love seeing teams go non-standard builds. I'm always looking for something to surprise me.
Oh, well, let's see. Is there anything there's not really anything non-standard.
No, exactly.
Game, unfortunately. Yeah.
Just going over the items a little bit. The only big thing on the Radiant side is nothing. It's Veil and drums. Everything else is standard, like arcane boots and below.
Yeah.
While we do have a pipe up on the Darkseer, at least on the Radiant side, as well as the Vanguard and Vladimir's on Anti-Mage.
Speaking of Darkseer, Darkseer is going to get caught here, actually. The Fisher is going to block him off really nicely, and he's definitely going to go down to the combination of the 3 Radiant heroes. Although, meanwhile, the Sand King is actually in a lot of trouble up here top. Nothing to take him out of the Sandstorm, except the Tide actually ends up popping his ult just for the Sand King. I think that's a really big mistake. The Earthshaker is going to come in here, Veil placed before the Earthshaker gets his ult off, and all the Dire are just going to pop. 2 managed to get the Sand King, but was it worth it?
No, that Ravage came out about 2 seconds too early. If you would have clocked it when everyone was in there, because the other guys were just around the corner. If you would have waited about 2 more seconds, you would have caught everyone in it instead of just the Sand King.
Yep.
It might have been too late to kill the Sand King, but it wouldn't have been a team wipe in that sense. Okay, not a team wipe. They do still have the Windrunner bottom, but out of the 4 that were there, it was a complete team wipe within 2 seconds.
Yeah, usually, I mean, a lot of people are kind of critical of Tides who use their ult to kill one person, and I definitely don't agree with that. I mean, there are certainly situations where it's fine to use your ult to kill a sandstorming tanking, but at 23 minutes, probably not, especially when you're sitting in an enemy tower and you just saw, and I can actually show it and draw on the map now, or ping. You actually just saw 2 heroes right there killing your Darkseer, or 3 heroes, so you know they're all right there. That is not the situation in which it is acceptable to use your ult just to kill one person. Oh, you can't see ping. Okay, right there. You can see my drawing, my squiggles, right? There we go.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't see that either?
No, I can't. No.
I thought
since
that was
we're
in the patch
spectators.
notes.
Yeah, no, since we are spectators, not in broadcast.
Oh, yeah, we're spectators,
slots.
not broadcast. Ah, son of a bitch. Anti-mage blinking in on Kranich just to scare him off. There was something else I wanted to talk about in that regard. Oh yeah, but I was going to say, you were talking about not really big items. The Leshrac basically has his Bloodstone finished, because he was actually sitting on, like, when you were saying that, about 2,200 gold, as well as his point booster, and so he does basically have the Bloodstone done, which is going to be nice for him, because it's going to kind of, I mean, even though he doesn't have mana boots himself, 3 other heroes do, that's going to really help kind of negate the anti-mage factor personally for himself as well. And, you know, the Vanguard Anti-Mage against this much mana regen, it's actually not very effective, because when you go the Vanguard, like we were talking about, you can contribute earlier on, but what you contribute is that mana burn. And with a team that's set up this well to actually kind of negate the mana burn, you've kind of lost the strength you got by sacrificing your capacity to farm. But, I mean, still, it's not going to matter if the Radiant doesn't manage to start taking down. They've really got to get these Tier 2 towers in the next 10 minutes. Otherwise, regardless of how well they counter this anti-mage, they're still just going to have trouble with him combined with Darkseer.
There's got a lot of people in the chat saying that Hood doesn't stack on anti-mage. I wasn't telling them that it does. About 4 years ago, it didn't stack. You had item priority slots in Dota 1, but that was changed a long time ago, and is definitely not an issue in Dota 2. So things like that do stack, but like you said, it's diminishing returns, so there's no point in having 90% damage, magic reduction, or 80% or 70%. It's better just to have 50% and get something else to go alongside with it.
Yep. Meanwhile, there is a push coming in on this mid tier 2 tower. Tide does have his ult again, actually, but a really nice Fissure from the Earthshaker, keeping him out, combined with the stun from Leshrac, stops the surging Darkseer. Really nice coordination there on the stuns to prevent the Radiant Dire team from coming in here. The Darkseer is going to surge the Tide. Tide is running in. Actually is in a pretty good spot for his ult now, but is actually just barely missed his window of opportunity. Earthshaker gonna die, but gets the Echo Slam off first. Does not manage to get his stun off because of the god-awful cast time. Meanwhile, Leshrac is going to run in. Shackle Shot does not actually latch him to anything, but he's just gonna have to back off because the rest of his team is not here. Could maybe pop his ult, but with the pipe up, it's not gonna do very much. Meanwhile, Storm actually blinks in, does manage to finish off the Tide. Sand King actually killing the Windrunner at the same time. I assume with a blink ult, didn't actually catch that. Darkseer trying to run away here. Storm does not have any mana left, but is going to bottle up, and 8 charges on his Bloodstone means he's probably going to be able to catch this Darkseer. Though one more surge is going to come up. Oh, wow, juking the stun. Really nice play from the Darkseer there, but is it going to be enough? Let's see. Actually, yeah, it is. I think, oh, no, Sand King is going to bottle up. He's going to have another blink in 3 seconds, and the pause is going to come out from Kranich to discuss with the Sand King, can we pursue this?
Chulik's getting away with 160 HP as well. They're really nice for the anti-mage, just juking him in the trees just behind the tower. And some nice event awards coming out just to block the pathing as well. The same thing with the Darkseer, under 200 HP and doing some very nice jukes to get away. And now it's back up to 320.
Yeah, overall, it's been really nice team play for both teams. It's been a very exciting game to watch and cast. So what are your bets here? Do you think they're going to keep chasing after him here, or you think not? I mean, with with the extra bottle charge, they will have enough mana for a blink and stun, but then Kranich isn't going to be close enough to kill him with the hood. It's probably just not going to be enough, or the pipe, it's probably just not going to be enough damage.
Yeah, I don't think Kranich will be able to just reach him, possibly, with his ball of lightning, but I don't know. I wouldn't go chasing him. I mean, we do have a CM up there as well. Not a great backup, but is definitely be able to disable one of them. And after that, they have no more mana. And no, they're not going to go.
Also, interesting, Sand King actually has 2 smokes on him. That's a bit unusual. Yeah, it looks like, the Darkseer's just going to surge, and there is no chance. Blink cooldown was just a little bit too long, and like you were saying, it would have been too hard for them to get the kill. And meanwhile, Anti-Mage is back to farming. Did go that Vlad's Vanguard build that we kind of expect. Obviously after the Vanguard getting the Vlads, although this is usually more frequently used when you're pushing, which his team is not really pushing that much. I mean, it does help him farm a bit, since he doesn't have the Battle Fury to quickly kill creeps. He kind of has the inevitability when killing neutrals instead with the lifesteal, and having the armor is never a bad thing, since, I mean, he has the The Spell Shield, which gives him magic resistance, getting the armor from Vlad's gives him physical resistance. It just makes him basically impossible to kill now. Although armor also not working very effectively with Vanguard, since Vanguard actually does apply before armor. Unfortunately, they don't really work in exactly the way you would like them to. But, I mean, still, not a bad choice overall, and it will let them, as the Dire, quickly steal Roche. Some nice wards up from the Radiant, or at least this, yeah, actually really nice wards from the Radiant right now, giving really great vision, basically preventing the Dire from stealing Roche right now, or well, not preventing them, but if the Dire does go for a Roche steal, then it'll actually position the Radiant really well to pick them off with the Blink Daggers both on Earthshaker and Sand King now.
I'm liking the evenness of this game as well. We went into it thinking, or at least I did, thinking that Virtus.Pro would have a bit more advantage, or at least would be showing a lot more advantage. But the game is in favor now to Epidemic, 24-16, and looking at the gold graph, they are just nearly 8k ahead in gold as well, and the XP same thing, nearly 8k there. So another tower going down for the Radiant side.
Yeah, and they're going to try to apply a little bit of pressure to this tier 3 tower here. I don't think there's any way they can break the base. And actually, Kranich is going to jump a long distance to get to CM. Earthshaker's there with the Fissure, and the CM is going to go down. So they're going to look to use this opportunity to do some fair amount of damage. And Edict will be up off cooldown in a second for the Leshrac. So he's going to pop the Edict on the tower. Unfortunately, he does not have a creep wave. Windrunner just a little too good at turtling, and this is actually going to force Kranich to TP back because they cannot allow the AM to take this tier 2 tower top. So a nice play there by the Windrunner and the AM in coordination to kind of force the pushback. And AM is actually going to try going on Storm here. AM actually only has enough mana for one more blink, but it's going to be enough to get him away. The TPs are just too long since Kranich just recently TP'd there to actually be of any help, but they potentially did save Kranich's life. AM, maybe if he'd gotten one more right click off there, would have had the capacity not to kill him with the ult, but to maybe dive him afterwards, but then probably would have died himself. So overall, good play by both players.
I like the Darkseer was bottom lane as well. I mean, sorry, top lane as well with Anti-Mage. Just casted Iron Shell on him before TPing back to base to help defend. And that just allowed AM to right-click the tower while Iron Shell was taking care of the creep wave coming. Not getting the tower though, but still a very good offensive move in the sense of defense as well, forcing the Radiant side to TP back and defend it.
And Anti-Mage does have his Yasha up and is actually, with 1,500 gold, pretty close to his Manta. So that's the point at which he's going to be very annoying to deal with. Kind of this 30-35 minute mark we were talking about. And although an interesting item pickup, so I saw the Darkseer had the Staff of Wizardry. I was assuming that was going to go towards a Force Staff, since they were having trouble initiating with the Tide, always getting stunned by the Earthshaker. I assumed he was going to get the Force Staff just for a little bit better initiation. But now seeing the point booster, I guess that's going to be going for an Aghanims. I really don't like Aghanims here. Aghanims generally good against right-click heroes on Darkseer these days, but given that there's really no one with right-click damage on the Radiant, I don't know how effective an Aghanims pickup is going to be. What do you think about that?
I actually tend to agree with you quite a lot. I mean, it's very great for turtling, and considering that they are being put... the pressure is on VP at the moment.
Oh, action top, actually. The Anti-Mage is going to get caught. Chain ults coming out from the Sand King here, but he just has so much magic resistance. Is eventually going to go down, though. Having to pop both... Oh, wait, was that... No, Veno didn't ult, but the Sand King and the Earthshaker ults there to kill him. Sorry, continue with what you were saying. Oh, wait, actually, no. The Leshrac is getting chased in the Dire jungle here. Surge was out on the Tide, and Leshrac is just going to try to deny himself to neutral creeps. Unfortunately, having his ult on makes that rather difficult, so he is going to die as well. Oh, but actually, not over yet. Kranich is going to be jumping on the side. The side is going to go down. Pops the stick charges, actually, which Kranich wasn't anticipating. But Kranich actually throws out the attack and then uses the ult, which works very interestingly because that actually triggers overload on the attack that's already flying and does manage to get the kill on the Tide.
And 11 charges now on his Bloodstone as well, which gives him a nice both HP and mana regen. I mean, just when he did that last ball in, he had exactly no mana. That was the limit of what he has, and now he's back up to 300 again with only a few seconds. So it's nice. It's 20 mana per second at the moment.
Yeah, and he does end up going the Boots of Travel as well. After assembling the Arcane Boots into the Bloodstone, which people have kind of, well, not people, I think in general it's kind of been established as being the God build. For those that don't know, God from Der quite famously pretty much always does this build when he plays Storm, which is actually one of his best heroes. So this basically just allows him to be anywhere on the map at all times, which really helps to stop the AM from split pushing. Obviously, Storm not being able to kill the AM by himself, and actually AM pretty good counter to Storm when it's just the two of them, but the Storm being there is always a threat of things to come, especially with two heroes with blinks, with the Earthshaker and Sand King.
We're up to nearly 1,200 viewers at the moment, and I just want to give a shout out to everyone tuning in. Thanks for supporting us, guys. It's been a very nice match so far, and we're still going to be casting more after this. Stay tuned.
Yeah, absolutely. I do appreciate everyone that comes and watches, and it's good to know that there's that many people tuning in. It's always, I mean, honestly, a game like this, I'd be happy to do for free. Anyway, well, I'm doing it for free regardless. I'd be happy to do this for 50 viewers when it's like this, but knowing that I'm doing it for that many more makes it that much more rewarding. Anyway, the Leshrac, as far as items goes, does have his Ogre Club, 2,000 gold, so he's getting pretty close to his BKB. That'll be really nice against the Tide. Obviously, as I was kind of alluded to a little bit earlier, having BKB is really core. It really shuts down Tide, multiple BKBs on a team. Storm is also a BKB hero, but since his item choice and the fact that he didn't farm very well early on meant that his BKB is quite far off. And Sand King obviously didn't have the option to go for BKB since he's going all these damage items. But the Leshrac is basically their, well, I wouldn't say their primary source of damage in team fights, but it's one of their biggest sources of damage. It's their biggest source of sustained damage in team fights, certainly, as opposed to the Earthshaker and the Sand King, who are a ton of burst damage. So giving him that BKB sustainability against the Tide and to a lesser extent the CM, the Windrunner, and the Darkseer is going to make it a lot easier for them to sustain the team fights, have him stay alive, most importantly, so they can actually take the towers afterwards.
I'm just looking at the team fights now, and what do you think about Venno this late into the game? I haven't seen him contributing that much into the game so far.
No, he's
0 for 9 as well, with only 3 assists, which is not very good. I think the rest of the team has been carrying him completely. It's got to be, I mean, his name is Off Ak, and I just think feels like he's having a bit of an off game. Yeah, no. Sorry.
Well, you know, he is supporting and he's warding and things like that, so there is that. But I agree. Venno is a little bit different than support heroes like well, CM kind of, but like a VS or something, who really contribute a lot later on with swaps and a stun, which stuns obviously scale very well. None of Venno's abilities scale. So I mean, well, in a theory, movement slow scales a tiny bit, but not really. I mean, and you'd be pretty nitpicky if you tried to argue that it did. So really, he doesn't have anything that scales. So he really needs to be more of a factor early on when you pick this hero. And yeah, they haven't really used it so much. I mean, the mid tower still has not been pushed, so I haven't paid enough attention to him, like you said, because he hasn't really been doing anything but dying. Whether he's actually been doing a good job of keeping those wards up mid to prevent them from losing the mid tier 1 tower. So that's something I'm just going to give him anyway. And anyway, if we've learned anything from Melk, it's that going 0-20 on Venno means your team wins. So maybe that will be what happens here.
Yeah, well, they are definitely leading. They're ahead by 10 kills, and they're ahead in both towers, gold, and XP.
Anyway, we're going to have an engagement here.
Now.
The smoke is up for the Dire. Dire is going to get spotted out. Nice stun by the Earthshaker again. Sand King going to have to burrow strike the Anti-Mage. Going to try to chain stun him. The problem is the Anti-Mage isn't really the one you need to be focused on early on. It's the other heroes. And the Venomancer once again get caught out. So that's 0-10. Kranich is actually also kind of out of position. He was trying to bait for the Earthshaker. Earthshaker ult not going to hit anything. But Sand King ult is going to melt the Darkseer. Darkseer not getting his wall off is going to be kind of a big deal. But meanwhile, there was a pretty big ult from the Tide. Nice shackle shot from the Windrunner, catching both the Sand King and Kranich. Kranich is just going to pop out, though. Anti-Mage, though, melting the Earthshaker. Sand King going to blink out as well. So far, a 2-for-3 trade, but Tulix is kind of in a bad spot. Shackle shot is going to latch him to a tree, so he is most likely going to die here. I don't really see how he's going to get out of this. Well, the stun is the start of it, but the Anti-Mage is going to finish it. And that is going to be a 3-for-3. Although he will be back very shortly, thanks to... No, actually, he won't, because he didn't have a ton of Bloodstone charges. It's actually the Storm who has the ton of Bloodstone charges, and he didn't die.
Yeah, that's right. I'm expecting a Bloodstone on the Leshrac as well. What do you think he's going to be going for his next item? Oh, it does have a Bloodstone, actually.
Yeah. And
sorry, I was just surprised that he didn't have one before when I looked last time.
Yeah, and he just finished his BKB, so he's a ways off from his next item. Although, the thing I want to talk about again, which was the thing that got brought up in the last game, is, again, double drums. Well, I don't really want to talk about it, but rather just criticize. Yeah. On the Venno and the... I mean, I understand, like, you're a support hero and you're like, I got the Bracer because I just wanted health. Like, Bracer's an amazing item, don't get me wrong. And Bracer is one of the main reasons that people do get drums, is just because it's such an easy item to get early on. And you're like, all right, well, I've got this Bracer and I basically have no money. What am I going to do? And your team's just like, just make drums. But you already have it on the Leshrac, so I don't know. I still don't like it very much. I mean, some people say, well, having it on 2 heroes is okay, because then if one of the heroes dies, then you still have it on your team. But if the Leshrac dies... you guys are in a lot of trouble anyway. Like, they really need to... I mean, keeping the Leshrac alive has to be a priority in team fights for them anyway to be winning the game. Not just winning team fights, but, like I said, actually taking towers. Because winning team fights doesn't really mean anything when you're the team with worst late game and you aren't taking towers or racks. So, I don't know. I think picking it up on the... If the Leshrac got it first, and I think it is a great item on Leshrac. Oh, but actually, again on this Anti-Mage, the Storm Spirit is going to TP in. He's going to have to Electric Vortex while the Sand King gets the Epicenter off. Veil was up, so it's actually just barely enough to pop the Anti-Mage. Yeah, actually dies to the Venomancer Poison as he blinks away. And they're doing a really great job picking off this Anti-Mage. That Storm Spirit TP is great, and it was actually what was able to keep him in the Sand King ult there. The problem is Sand King's really been forced to use his ult for... I mean, and forced isn't such a... It's kind of a harsh term. He's had to use his ult to kill the Anti-Mage. Well, that's basically what forced is. But I meant it in... he's had to use it, which has meant that he hasn't been able to use it as much necessarily in team fights. Although he's gotten it off in most team fights, so it's not been that big of a deal. I mean, at level 16, it's pretty short.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're killing someone with it, and if you're killing an Anti-Mage, that's better than killing, in my opinion, for example, a CM and a Darkseer together. You want to kill the Anti-Mage as often as possible, and that's exactly what they're doing. I mean, Virtus are concentrating way too much on letting the Anti-Mage push solo lanes and going as groups of 4 instead, but that's just backfiring on them, because Radiant are taking that into account and shutting down the AM every chance they get. I think they've done it 3 times now in the last 7 minutes.
Yeah, and it's kind of really crippled the Anti-Mage's farm. I mean, I want to take a look at his actual gold per minute. As basically the fastest farming hero in the game. He's only at 400 gold per minute, which is really not stellar by any stretch of the imagination, with both Kranich and Tulix at 430 on the Radiant team. Obviously, a large part of that comes from tower gold. I think if the Dire had taken as many towers as the Radiant, the Anti-Mage would be ahead. So it's not that he's necessarily doing a bad job farming, but that his deaths are definitely costing him substantially. And I mean, one of the other things about Anti-Mage that we normally consider is that there's 2 ways to beat an Anti-Mage. One is to get heroes that kind of counter him and kill him, and the other is just to push through him. And this team is more of a push through him, not necessarily a counter him team, but they're actually doing the exact opposite. I mean, they're kind of pushing, although not as hard as you would expect. By 35 minutes for this matchup, you kind of expect them to have been at least in the base, really, which they really haven't. But instead, they're actually just killing the Anti-Mage, which is kind of unusual.
I mean, it's good to kill him, but then you have to do something with that afterwards. The reason for killing him is to be able to push afterwards, and just killing him alone is not enough, because his farm potential is just so huge.
Ooh, and actually, Anti-Mage is trying to solo Roche here, and he's probably going to get it. Kranich actually tried TPing into creep, but was stopped because the Dire quickly killed the creep. But Kranich is going to bottle an Invis rune. I assume he's going to pop that right now. He was not spotted by a ward, so he can run an Invis here. I don't know why he hasn't used the Invis already to scout for his team. That seemed like it would have been really strong there, but instead deciding he just wants to try to jump in with his ult. I don't really know. Is there a gem up for the Dire, maybe? And actually, Darkseer is going to vacuum in the Leshrac, but Leshrac is just going to BKB up. Earthshaker blinking in, but not really getting anything. Sand King ult not really catching anyone either. Catching it at the very end, the Darkseer and the Windrunner. And this is actually going to be a really bad engagement, I think, for the Radiant. Tidal is actually going to hit 2 heroes here. Sand King is definitely dead. And meanwhile, though, the Leshrac is actually doing a ton of damage, so maybe not as bad as I thought. What I was talking about with keeping the Leshrac... Oh, but great Shackle Shot. God, this Windrunner's had amazing Shackle Shots. And Leshrac is going to go down, and yeah, as expected, this is a great team fight for the Dire. With all the Radiants basically AoE ults missing, and then the great Shackle Shot from the Windrunner to prevent the Leshrac. I mean, I thought they still had a chance. The Leshrac just does such an insane amount of damage, but once he got caught in that Shackle Shot, it was really over.
Yeah, for sure. I was looking at the items before, and there was someone with a gem, though.
Oh, there was on the Dire? Oh, yeah, the Tide had a gem, so that's why Kranich didn't do it. Okay, that, I mean, makes sense.
No, Kranich had a gem.
Oh, he did, okay. Kranich is actually going to use the Invis for a Roche steal, but he knows that he had the gem, so they're actually going to catch it. Does actually pick up the Aegis, though, so really nice Aegis steal by Kranich there. Doesn't manage to get the Roche kill, but has the Aegis, and he's actually just going to be able to run back. So really nice play by Kranich there. It wasn't actually a buyback either. It was just he had so many charges on his Bloodstone, I think. I mean, I've got to double-check that to be certain, yeah. Had so many charges on his Bloodstone that it actually just brought him back so quickly. He used the travel boots to get back there. He actually tried to get the Roche steal, but just barely missed on it, but still worth it to get the Aegis anyway. Although, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a small consolation after losing a big team fight like that to a team with inevitability, but it's not nothing.
At the same time, it's important, though, that the AM didn't get that Aegis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is, in my opinion, more important than someone in the Radiant actually carrying it. It doesn't matter who in the Radiant carries it, as long as the AM doesn't have it.
Yeah, and the Storm actually had picked up before that last fight his Hex, but that will also be really important because it will let him, Hex as he's jumping on a hero. Although, I don't know, there's... Oh, and actually the Anti-Mage getting caught again. Let's see if they have enough chain stuns without the Storm here. Leshrac stun is going to come out now. There's just easily not enough damage to take out the Anti-Mage this time, and he's just going to Manta and easily blink out. Oh yeah, he does have his Reaver now, actually, so a ton of health on him. Interesting to pick... Well, I mean, I guess he's dying so much that he really felt that he needed that Reaver to kind of stay alive. generally at this point in the game, it's a bit risky when you're missing all your tier 2 towers to kind of spend your buyback money. Usually you want to save buyback, because if he gets picked off again and he gets picked off close enough to his base, they can go for a push, and without him, the Dire would have a lot of trouble defending.
Yeah, I mean, he's out way out now, and he doesn't have any TPs either.
Speaking of getting picked off, NS on CM, a little bit out of position there. Interesting ward by the Radiant here, all the way up at the top lane. I guess that's to kind of see the anti-mage when he's pushing out. And so they're actually just going to ignore the anti-mage pushing the top, and they're going to try to push into the base. Killing CM isn't that significant, though. And, ooh, nice vacuum by the Darkseer. I'm surprised they actually haven't gone for the blink on the Tide. Tide instead going for BKB to try to avoid the Leshrac damage. But when you have a Darkseer on your team, I would think you would maybe go for the blink on him, because in a situation like that where the Darkseer vacuums in 3, you'd really like to just be able to blink the Tide in and get the Ravage. But anyway, they're going to try to go on the Earthshaker here. Nice ult from the Earthshaker. Meanwhile, though, the Tide ult is going to basically counter everything they do, and they're just going to get melted. Anti-Mage doing way too much damage. And yeah, Kranich is going to come back out, and he's going to be able to jump away just fine. But it doesn't really matter, because the rest of his team is dead, and there's going to be a push from the Dire. And this is what we're talking about. I mean, we said from the beginning, they basically had to have gotten into the base by 30-35 minutes, and this is 42 minutes, and the inevitability is basically just turning around for the Dire.
Yeah, it's 2 big team fights they've lost in a row. I mean, even if they did pick off the CM, it doesn't really make a difference to them. They can't push when the entire Virtus.Pro team is there, especially against that wall and Ravage. It's just impossible to get in versus that. And then the AM being in there to DPS down any strays is that's exactly why they lose 4 or 5 heroes in fights now. It's too late for them.
Yep, it absolutely is, and they're going to lose this mid-tier 3 tower, and without any of their ults up, I'm pretty sure this is going to at least be, I would say just one Rex. Kranich is going to do his best to try to stall them, but intelligently enough, they're just not taking the bait. They're just going to focus on the tower and then focus on the Rax. With Leshrac up, there's a chance they'll be able to, I mean, they should be able to push him out of the base basically after this Rax is taken down. And actually, Kranich is going in here. The pipe is popped for the Dire. The Dire is not going to be scared off here. Venomancer is going to go down, so Venomancer, 1 more death. Meanwhile, Tolix is running in, BKB, popping his ult, doing a lot of AoE damage. Windrunner just got to hit the Rax one more time. CM is actually focusing on it. Meanwhile, the SK ult, or stun, is actually going to almost be enough to kill the Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage just barely blinking out. Kranich trying to chase after him. 1 hit, 2 hits, 1 more. Oh, it just gets shackled to a tree. Meanwhile, the stun comes out from Leshrac, but actually isn't going to hit anything. Leshrac still using his ult, and the Sand King actually does manage to pick up the Tide. Tide drops the gem. Darkseer dead as well. The Rax has gone down, though. Is someone going to pick up this gem? The TP is actually dropped, and the Sand King does pick it up.
Interesting fight for sure. I like to see CM just ignoring the fight and just making sure that the last hits are off on the Rax as well. Getting that melee Rax is also important. I mean, you can find if you get both of them, but the melee one is worth 80% of the reason why you're pushing.
Yeah, and the AM does have his heart finished up now too, and I think he's almost to buyback money. I want to check exactly how much it is. Yeah, well, he doesn't necessarily have enough reliable gold to guarantee it, but he's pretty close to having buyback, basically. So, I don't know, it's going to be really, really tough for the Radiant to do anything here. They're going to try to push in here. Tide won't be up for 25 seconds, but he definitely has buyback, and he has his ult up, so if they actually are in any threat here, he can just buyback, TP, and ult. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to easily have enough time to revive with the Windrunner just power shutting down. It's so difficult to push against a Windrunner. God, I hate that.
They are grouping up now. They're going to go for the push, and rightfully so. I mean, that's what they have to do. While a couple of heroes are dead. So I don't want to interrupt.
Oh, yeah, it's fine. Actually, yeah, action going in bottom. The Kranich has caught CM, but CM really not the most important target. And the Earthshaker is actually going to go down to the Tide, not being able to use his ult on anything. Kranich is going to try to run out. Power shot just barely hitting him. CM, or AM's going to blink in and finish off Kranich. Kranich's not going to be dead for too long with those Bloodstone charges, but still, they missed their opportunity to... doing a little Khan impersonation. Khan! In this case being Kranich. Kranich, you know, going after the CM there, CM's such an easy target, and it's good to get her out of the fight early on, but it's not hex you and kill you. But just not really worth it when his team's dying and he's dying, and they're not being able to turn it into anything. I think they should have just stayed grouped up mid rather than diving into the bottom like that.
Yeah, I didn't understand that at all. That didn't make sense to me. They needed to push a tower. They needed to even out the balance of losing the melee racks. So at least the mid lane would be equally pushing each other. But now they're still on the defensive because all that's down is the tower. Both the racks are still up, and the lanes are being pushed, at least where the river is now on all 3 lanes. So it's going to be a bit hard for him. It's uphill now. I mean, they have to both defend the next incoming push from Virtus, as well as push back the entire lane and defend mid and then get something out of it as well. And it's going to be interesting. I need to see a team wipe for Radiant for them to have a chance now.
Yeah, and looks like Krennic is going to go to try to pick up that BKB as soon as possible to try to make himself immune to that Tide ult and Darkseer wall, which is quite important. So we'll see if maybe that item will be enough to kind of make the difference, since he is their biggest source of kind of CC and doing stuff in Team 5's here. Tide is actually really far forward, but his teammates are kind of swarming on him, so if they do go on the Tide, I think his team will be there in time. Ooh, Haste Rune actually here that Sand King is going to Burrow Strike the CM. Tide is actually does have his blink now. He's going to blink in, doesn't even need to use his ult. Actually, both the heroes for the Radiant are going to die, and the gem is going to be dropped once again. I think someone will pick that up, maybe the Darkseer. We'll see. No, the Tide ends up dropping his magic stick and picking it up. And meanwhile, the AM is just pressuring top. So bad engagement there for the Radiant. Looked like it to be a nice haste steal. They're going on the AM here, but I mean, there's no reason calling this. The AM has way too much health. Doesn't matter how much CC they have. They just don't have enough damage to take him down before he just leaves. He's actually just going to... He could have just turned around and right-click Kranich a couple times there, but I guess with all those Bloodstone charges, it doesn't really accomplish much, so he decides to back out instead. And he's going to go group up with his team to take the Tier 2 tower bottom.
I like the Kuriki was trying to push the top lane constantly before, and it wasn't working for them at all. But now, a little bit later on into the game, when his ally is a lot more powerful, and especially the team fight potential is starting to reach its climax, it's a lot more effective. It's actually working out.
Yeah, and let's see. I'm not sure if they will try to push in here. I mean, pushing in against the Sand King is dead, and he does not have buyback. No, he actually does have buyback. But pushing in against the AoE or ult combination, probably not the best idea ever, even if you do feel like you're leading. So I assume they'll kind of wait for an opening and maybe consider doing something, but probably not. Probably just back out. I mean, in a situation like this, you just kind of get aggressive wards up. I can't draw, so I can't show the spot. But basically on that big hill there, go farm the Radiant jungle. Just have one person basically farming top who, well, unfortunately you don't have anyone with TP or travels. So it doesn't work quite as well as you'd like, but still just keep farming the enemy jungle and just keep the pressure on them. Wait till they come out to try to farm their own jungle or farm the mid, catch them, and then push in, rather than actually forcing something into the AoE ults.
I'm just surprised, well, I'm surprised as well that this game has lasted so long. I mean, if they didn't finish it off by, like we've said now a number of times, 30, 35 minutes, that was their window. But now it's 48, and I thought that Virtus.Pro would actually have turned it back and gotten at least 2 racks by now. But they haven't even completed middle yet. It's just turning into a very late game, farm-intensive game, and it's not going into favor of Radiant for letting that happen. But they're just outplayed at the moment, and they're outfarmed. And the problem is they can't really take that back unless they catch at least 2 heroes out in a really bad position. Well, CM not being one of those ones.
That's what the smoke is for, and actually
exactly.
They might have the opportunity here to catch the... If they get the Tide and the Darkseer, that's going to be really good for them. Veil actually coming up just on the Tide. They're going to see if they can pop him, but Tide just pops his BKB. Nice vacuum ult from the Darkseer, and the Tide ult is going to hit 2 or 3. Venom ult coming out, but at this point it's not really going to do too much. Tullix is still there doing damage, but it's not going to matter. Anti-Mage is here, and he's just going to pop Tullix. Kranich the only one left alive. All 5 of the Dire are actually still alive. I thought one of them died, but I guess not. That's really shocking that they didn't kill any of them. Pretty poor decision to pop the Veil and spend all that just on the Tide when you know the Tide has BKB. I guess my thoughts that the BKB wasn't that great on Tide was a little off. Well, he did end up getting the blink anyway, and I guess getting the BKB quickly was just important against all these AoE ults, letting him survive through that so that he could guarantee get his Ravage off. I still think he could have probably gone blink first and then BKB, but who am I to argue? He did end up winning.
Yeah, it was a perfect example of how well to use a BKB as well. I mean, they did initiate on him, and all he has to do after that is just pop it, wait until the exact right opportunity, and then just press whatever key he has for his ultimate, and it paid off. They got essentially a whole team wipe, and I'm not counting Storm because he's just way too maneuverable for that, but yeah. So both racks down bottom.
While I don't necessarily agree with Darkseer's Aghanim's choice, I do really like him getting this Blade Mail. Blade Mail is not normally an item that I like very much, but against you know, this Leshrac, Sand King, and Earthshaker, it's just going to reflect so much damage, and he's quite tanky. He has a lot of health, 2,200, so it's a really nice item, just dealing a lot of extra damage for him in addition to his Iron Shell, Vacuum, and ult.
So yeah, they finally got it. Just 1 minute after I was saying I was surprised this hadn't ended, they ended up getting Mega Creeps.
Oh. The Radiant just got a little impatient. Well, not impatient there. I mean, they had to be impatient. We're looking for an opening, and it was just a bit too late. They just didn't get their opening soon enough, and yeah, that's going to be a good game. Well played by both teams. This was an awesome game to watch. Virtus.Pro showing that they are definitely a team to be reckoned with, and Epidemic basically the same, very solid, very good, but maybe not exactly top team that they've always been. But nice individual plays from a lot of players on both teams. Kranich kind of just messing around at this point, just because he can. And he's actually going to live, but the Ancient is not, and that's going to be the game. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and please do not go away. We will be covering another game right after this, probably another Virtus.Pro game, to be perfectly honest. So stay tuned.